my approach to painting in watercolor is I start off wet and wet, and I just do big shapes first, and then I'll go back in and start carving in. When I was a young lad taking art classes in Lebanon, where I lived when I was younger, we had a guy from Russia, very good artist. He was a teacher. I think he was KGB also. So this was the Soviet times, right?
Yeah.
His name was Boris, Mr. Boris. And Mr. Boris always insisted that we always go from the vague to the focused. So you never start with anything, and he never wanted you to feel that anything in your painting is precious until you finish. So when we were starting with charcoal and drawing portraits in charcoal, we would sit there. We were kids. I was 15, 16 years old, and I'd look at somebody's eye or something. Oh my God, look at that! Look at that curve. And I'd start putting the curve in, and he'd walk by and he'd go, look back at his hand. No detail. Oh! But we learned our lesson. So we start from the vague and we go back into the details. So we're never going to put those figures in earlier, because then we'll have to paint around them, and they'll be so daunting. We'll be so worried about them. Inevitably, we're going to dig into them, and oh my God, how can I do that? So no, it's going to be very, very wild and open. And I don't know what I have here. I think I have some. I'll try to give you the colors that I'm using. I'm sure my students always want to know which colors I'm using, and I always say, use your colors. You decide. You really need to develop your idea of what a palette is, and especially for painting. I think of the colors in a painting like you having a party. So you know how there are many types of parties that you have. You have a lot of different types of friends too. So there are friends that you'd invite to the hockey party, right, to watch a hockey game with beer and chips and all that. And then there are different friends that maybe sometimes the same people, but different friends that you would invite for a wine and cheese and a discussion of, sober, nice. It's not the same people, right? So same thing with colors. Think of them as characters. Think of them as people you're inviting to this party. And so which ones do you want to invite? What are you trying to say here? If it's a spring feel, crispy day, which colors do we want to invite to? And then understand that once you've invited people, you don't want colors. You don't want to have any colors crash the party. So never go back in at the, towards the middle or the end of the painting. Why don't I bring this color in? Stick to the colors that you decide to go with. So I think I'm going to go with my yellows down here. So I have cadmium yellow light, Indian yellow, and cadmium yellow deep. And then I'm going to jump over here with ultramarine blue, maybe some cobalt blue, and a couple of my greens. I like to use an old color that people don't use anymore, oxide of chromium, because it does give me a lot of texture. So, and I like that. But let's see right now. I'm going to start by putting the big shapes in. So I'm just going to take some cadmium yellow light. I'm going to pick up some of that green, the oxide of chromium green. That's going to give me a nice big light, and I need it to be much lighter. I need it to be very light because I'm going to sort of create a light feel right here in the middle of the paint. So right there, I need that feeling of light, and then I need to start picking up some more greens and going around the edge. Sorry about that. Around the edge, I'm doing. Because all of this is going to be much lighter once it dries. And once we start putting the heavy much darker colors in, everything will sort of fade. But I just want to put the beginning shades in color. Don't be afraid to do this. How many watercolors do we have? I'll show you my oils too. On the break, I'll put some slideshows so you can see some of the work that I do. And I work in oil and watercolors. My problem with oil is both my daughter and I are asthmatic, so when I paint in oil, I have to paint either outside in my garage or outdoors when I go painting, plein air. But I can't paint outside the house because it would be a disaster.
What is in the oil that creates this problem here?
Huh?
What is in the oil that is
it's the chemicals in it.
Oh,
So
water-based smells, oil.
The smells, it's just there's a lot of stuff that is floating in the air from it, and so yeah, it's not a good thing. So I'm just trying to fill the whole painting so that I can't see it anymore.
So what sort of brush are you using for those?
I'm using this is a synthetic wash brush. It's a what is called a quill, and it just holds so much water compared to the regular brushes that we use in painting. So I'm just trying to reduce the colors now in here because I've got the water down here, right? So I'm better going to paint on than water. And just let things glide down in this slide, come all the way down. So it's done, right?
So you cover all the white of the paper?
I do. I want to cover everything on the paper because I can always come back and lift if I want to, but I want a nice, full, clean wash everywhere. It's much more important to me to find the clean wash than to try to get everything in place. I can go back and lift here, and I will. I need that hard edge, so I lift back. And the colors that I'm using, I'm not using phthalo blue, for instance, which is very staining and it's very hard to remove. I'm using ultramarine blue, oxide of chromium, and cadmium yellow light. So these are colors that I can actually fudge, take out and remove when I want to. I'm talking because I want to sort of have this dry up a bit before I continue. So I'm still trying to find edges now. Where I need the long edges. One edge here. Something that's black. Again, really think big. You don't have to start with all the details. I know this looks horrible right now, right? This looks like, what the hell is he doing? This is an underpainting. This is really just to allow me to create that glow in the painting. I need this. I need to be able to paint over this paper. So
you wouldn't have painted this on site though, because you've already photoshopped it and everything. You took it home, the picture.
I did, but usually when I'm outdoors, I go through the same process, but instead of taking a Photoshop, because I don't have, I do it by pencil. So I take my my sketchbook with me whenever I go painting, and usually the process is everybody sets up and they start painting. And for me, I don't even set up. I sit on my chair, and I take about anywhere between 15 minutes and half an hour, depending on how I see the thing. But until I actually see the pleasing design, I'm not going to paint. I'm not going to paint, so it just doesn't work that way for me. I need to be able to see what I'm doing. I need to make sure that actually it's good. design. So I'm lifting here. Now, why would I not have just painted this? Left it blank. I wouldn't get the same effect, exactly. It would look like a cutout. So by doing this, what is happening here is I'm getting this glow, this feel of a, there's unity in this whole picture right now. And that's extremely important for me. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure that I have a nice unity to it. I'm going to start carving like this. This is already a bit of carving out. Right? I've just created that hard edge to some extent, not exactly where I want it to be, but it's starting to see this to fill in that way. And now I can actually start building everything from the vague to the focal point. So leave your focal point until the end. Don't start with your focal point. Okay? Start with the rest of the painting. So zero in onto your focal point. So what I want to start working on now is, this stuff back here. So we're going to start carving out the house of it, right? So I'm going to do the stuff back here, this stuff, and maybe even do the stuff in front of the house. And for that, I need to begin working with a bit more color, maybe some sand green here, and some ultramarine blue. But I don't want to go too fast to the dark. Right? I'm going to slowly get there and talk about romancing the painting as opposed to say hitting it on the head and pulling it back. I gotta be careful what I say. Nowadays, it's very, very important to get it correctly. So anyway, no, the idea is you need to be, you need to work with, from light to dark. You don't want to start heavy on the darks and then you'll have no room to go. I just need to see this a bit more. I don't know if I want it to sort of in front of the house like it is here, or if I want the house to be separate. Let me see. I'll just put it up. But I need to make the trees look interesting here. Usually what I like to do is I like to work again wet and wet in all of this. So what I'll do is I'll put this layer in. And I want some of that initial layer to still come through. I don't want it to be completely covered. But then I'm going to start picking up more ultramarine blue into all the face. I'm going to cheat a bit and put some orange in as well. and it's because I don't want it to look acidic at the end. So there's this risk if you're going with all greens and blues, everything will look very acidic, very cold eventually, and we don't want that. We want a warm look to offer. So I've got this edge here. Let's go ahead and do this edge and create a nice dark line. That's okay. A bit of bleeding happening here, but that's okay. I can go back and lift it. This is ultramarine blue, so I know that it's, I don't know if there's a word called liftable, but it is liftable. Any questions? No? I don't like silence. Please don't.
I'm just thinking how interesting it is to see how you handle a brush.
and watch the strokes happening. So
Yeah, that's one thing that I teach my students as well is you really don't want to use your wrist too much when you're painting, unless you're doing really detailed stuff. You want to use your elbow and your shoulder as your mechanism for painting. So you're moving your arm and the hand is sort of, it's not doing this, right? It's actually moving, the whole thing is moving. And that's because we have about 16 joints in here. And these are much bigger joints that we can control much better. So as much as possible, I would suggest try to, and this is not just for watercolors, for oils and acrylics as well. When you're painting up there, you know, you want to try to move, not like this. You want to try to move your full arm.
Even for drawing. Even for drawing.
Even for drawing as well, yeah. So it's always a good idea to use this, you know, the length of your brush and the you paint for it, right? You paint for the brush. See how easy it is to go back to the lights. A lot of people tell you you can't make mistakes with watercolor. It's not true. If you know what you're doing, you're doing just fine. I like that. I may come back and do some more work on it, but I like it right now. And I don't want it to be overcomplicated, so I'm just going to go in and do, and what I'm doing here is sort of creating a bead for myself, a bead of color and light, darkness actually, right there. I'm just going to do that. I don't know if you can see here, but there's a nice bead that's developed here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go. This always happens. I'm going to go pick up this brush. Oh, thank you. No, I'm okay. Just going to pick up this brush and just make sure that this whole area is wet, like this. And then all I'm going to do is what I call open the faucet. And so I'm just going to go touch, speed, and let it bleed down. Okay? I'm just going to let it bleed down completely. And if I need to, I'm just going to add a bit more on this end here. And just make sure that I have enough stuff that can bleed all the way down. Now, I have those bead, like the light here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's precious. I'm just going to keep that. I'm going to use that. And I don't know why I keep doing this. I'm sort of not going to the edge that I want. This is the edge that I want. So over here, it's much darker. So I'm just going to put a very dark line and then this. Okay. My wife banned me from using white t-shirts because I come back home with splatter all over the t-shirts and she's like, enough, no more white t-shirts, you can't wear them. So, now I wear black t-shirts.
With watercolor is okay, it's washable.
Sorry?
Watercolor is okay.
Not all of it. No. Believe me, it'll stick. It'll sting. It's not true. So again, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't lose that edge. But I don't want a hard edge here, not like up here. I want that soft edge. Okay. And I'm actually going to go and in my brush. I may do that here as well. I'm going to go from the light to the dark. And then from the dark to the light. And just by running back and forth like this, I can create some really nice ripples. I'll do that later. There'll be several layers of this, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay, I'll do this big piece here. And the middle piece there, actually, let me start with the middle piece here. That's going to be very light, so I'm just going to take some leaf green. This is same family, so I'm not changing colors on it. Really not. Just want to need it to be a bit lighter than that, because this is further back, and I need to create a sense of distance back here. And now I can go ahead and try in some other colors, other greens. Is it coming along? Mm-hmm. Any questions? Concerns? Objections?
The way you did the water is fabulous. The white is right, and the light in there is brown.
Yeah.
And the simplicity of the line.
I'm still worried about that sort of creeping. I just needed to make sure that it's a straight line. It really needs to be a straight line. That's so important. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, back here. This brush that I'm using is a brush that I make, but I needed something that was long like this. That was like a rigger, but it wasn't a rigger because this holds a lot of water. And riggers usually don't hold water. And so I eventually did these, and then I had my students in Mississauga, and they started ordering this. And I sort of said, okay, I'll make them. And then I ended up, one day I was sitting in my studio doing batches of these for the whole week, and I'm looking at myself going, you know, like those kids in Bangladesh, you know, making. I didn't quit my job so I could be an artist and I could be making brushes. So I said, that's it. That was the last batch, and I don't do them anymore. But I get a lot of people. I had this lady who bought one from me. She bought actually several, and she contacted me about a month ago and said, I need some more. And I said, I don't make them anymore. She was so pissed off. I was like, what am I going to do now? I use them. She does animal, like pet pictures, and she uses them for details, because I make smaller ones, but not just these. And I said, I'm really sorry. I'm not a factory. I don't want what you want from me.
But why did you make them? I was like to buy one.
It's not about the money, it's about the freedom. I don't want to be, seriously, I was, at that time, I had like 40 orders. And I'm going, oh my God, I'm getting stressed. And my kids, I'm going, do you guys want to learn how to do this? I'll tell you the whole thing. Like, they're looking at me like, what? Right. You got yourself into this. we're not falling for this. So.
We can teach them how to do it, and we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It actually is very hard.
Yeah.
Did you use natural hair? Huh?
Did you use natural hair?
I started off with natural hair, and then I'm writing a book about brushes, watercolor brushes. And when I got into the synthetics, I tried to get the brush companies to talk to me about what they use. And nobody wants to give me any details. They're also secret about it.
Have you heard of rosemary and country from UK?
Yep. Well, I got in touch with them too, and they're like, what is it that they put on their site? We use synthetic hair and magic. Where do you get the magic from? What factory creates the magic? So anyway, I ended up getting in touch with a company in China, and the guy with his broken English writing me says, we make brushes for Da Vinci, all of those. I'm like, what? He goes, we make the hair, so they actually sell them the hair, and they have a different factory that does the actual brushes. So these brushes, they're all made in China. There's no, okay. So, and I said, well, like
The brushes you have in your hand, you made in China, or you made one?
no, not the one I make Mrs. Houghton.
Yeah.
No, but the ones that you're buying from the store, are mostly made in China.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, and I said, so can I buy pairs? And he goes, well, yeah, how many cousins do you want? Can I try a few? And he goes, well, okay. It was nice. I don't know, because the next time we do a batch, I'll put 10 away for you. And I said, great. And he sent them to me, and I started working with them. That's what these are. These are synthetic hair. And this is the same hair that all of those companies use. Now, I did learn a few things about this hair. So they actually, companies like, the better companies will pay extra for specific type of hair, length and width. So they're looking at they don't want a mix. They want very precise, production. And then the cheaper ones that you get from above ground, like these here, those are the cheaper ones. Those are actually just mass produced. So they're all mass produced, but it's a simpler, cheaper process. So these actually are more expensive hairs, and you can see how long the hairs are. These are actually one hair just this long. So compared to, you see that? So,
The best one is cats.
cats?
Yeah. The back of the neck is
Okay.
the hole.
Okay.
The kitty actually.
I used to have my cat, and I do have some of her hairs still because I love her so much. We have
The
to
reason I
clear it.
had to advise it.
But no, I wouldn't use cat hair. So you just missed the lead.
Get out for coffee, please.
So now what I want to do is I want to use some cobalt blue for the shadows on this building. I feel cobalt is really nice when you want light. Ultramarine blue is a bit too heavy for that. But I want to create a bit of a shadow on this side, of course, but also a bit, under the eaves here. And I may actually create some shadows from trees there as well. I'm just going to clean this area up a bit. I'm very messy, as you can tell. I don't use clean water. My water is green now, which is great because it just keeps everything in family, isn't it? It's still water. Okay.
These blue shop towels that you're not using, you're always using the paper or some type of blue. The blue shop towels?
Oh, yeah, I have others, but yeah, I'll use either. So this is cobalt blue, and I'm just going to go in and begin by doing this whole area here with this color. I am going to go back in and put some more trees and stuff, so this won't look very disjointed like this later. And there's going to be some stuff in here as well. pick up some more light, some more water, and I've got to come in, and I've got to be truthful to this area here, because I don't want it to be all light. Light is just here. Okay, like that. Now, I'm just going to take some cobalt, put a line here like this. Just bring it down. And then bleed it a bit. So there's no hard edge. Not really. I don't want a hard edge there. I want a soft edge to it. And just drying this up a bit. Because I want to go in and put a few shadows from some branches. So this is from the trees here. Like that. It won't look nice now, but eventually I hope it will. Okay. It's always an act of faith. You believe it's going to happen. Sometimes it doesn't. I always tell my students, you know, in baseball, baseball season is coming up, but in baseball, you know what is a good RBI? Does anybody follow baseball here? Anybody? What's a good RBI? Yeah.
1 for 3, great.
1 for 3, great. Actually, it's usually 0.2, 2.5 or 0.3 is like you jump out from the minors to the majors if you're hitting 0.3. That basically means 3 out of 10. So 3 out of 10 times you're actually hitting the ball, and they pay you millions of dollars. So if we paint and we're painting 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4, and they're really good, you're doing a great job. You really are. So I don't know how many times I have so many paintings that I throw away because it just don't work. It's okay. It's okay. We have to accept that that's what happens. Okay. So I have my light, I have my dark. I need to come back and work on the really dark side of my painting, which is on this side here. So I'm going to start up again with those dark greens, almost blues. And this time, I'm not going to be afraid to go over my painting like this, because I really don't want it to sort of sit, you know, outside of the picture. If I don't cover it like this, if I don't make it part of the scene, you know, the building will look as if it was stuck on. So by pushing it back with some trees in front of it, it just sticks it to the painting, sticks it to the scene, and becomes more part of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. The roof is nice.
The roof is nice? That's good. I'm glad to hear that. It works. I usually have, I forgot to put this in my container. I usually have a mirror like this that I use to just look back at my work, because I need to be able to see it backwards so that I can actually judge if it's working or not. Okay, I need to do this. This is something that ends up always happening, is my brushes surgery. You know, when you go into surgery, they cover you up. We're going to cover this area up so it doesn't. Yeah,
You don't want
because I do like to splatter actually, and I will splatter. And I'm going to do a lot of texture in this area, especially down here. But I don't want it to sort of destroy the rest of the painting. In some areas, you can turn these things into birds. When you have splatters. You never done that? No? So I'm just letting my brush dance on the page, go in all different directions. I'm trying not to let my brain control what I'm doing, because my brain wants to do this. Equal, repetitive. The most boring thing in the world is your right brain. Isn't your left brain? Your left brain. It's so boring. You know, it loves everything to be in order. And if you let it, it actually tells you, and I see this happening all the time, it says, oh, you're painting a house. I know how to do that. Don't worry about it. And you end up with a house that looks like the houses that you painted when you were 5 years old. You know, the square with the two windows that are sort of, and the big door and the roof that looks like a big triangle. And that's because that side of your brain works in symbols and likes to see the world in a very pragmatic and symbolic way. But it was what made us survive, millions of years ago, because we would back then, when we came down from the trees and we were not monkeys anymore, and we started walking on the savannas, our predators were in the grass, right? And so the only elements in predators like tigers and bears and not bears, but yeah, actually all of them. The only elements that are distinguishable are repetitive elements like eyes, the nose, the ears. If you look, those are two ears, two eyes. You know, a nose that is very distinct, that has a different shape to it. And our brain had to be able to, a split second, notice that in blades of grass. Those that didn't notice, they're not here anymore. So genetically, we became in tune, and our brain became in tune with these kind of things, and that's what allowed us to survive. So I'm splattering right now. I'm just splattering water. I'm going to splatter some color as well, just to allow this area here in front of me to look a bit more interesting. I know it doesn't right now, but it will, especially if I splatter some yellows. This. And most of this will fade, but it'll give me a nice feel to this area. Just going to put this in light here. How much time do I have? I'm always worried about time. Another half hour, okay. Okay, that's good, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, so I need to work on this stuff down here now. And most of it is touched with light, right? This area here. The top of it is light. The dark side is the lower part. But again, that's going to help me actually push that building back. I need a bit more tough again like this, especially here. So I need to.
You were pleased for?
No, Why? Why would you do that? I mean, seriously, what prompted that question?
I use, I use brush and then watercolors, and then I add my black marker to it. That's my style.
You add black marker to delineate. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole style, right? That's okay. That's a different story. But you're not using black to mix watercolors. I mean, I do. I shouldn't say I don't use black. That's not true. I love Mars black. You know what that is? Mars black. It's a beautiful color, sort of spidery in the way that it turns. But I use that on its own. I don't I paint just with that, or I paint mostly passages like that. But I wouldn't mix it with other colors. Not in a landscape like this. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm digging deeper and deeper into the lake, into the water. Just want to make sure that I don't overdo it. But you can see how I'm really just using a few colors to do all of this painting. And the only area that is a bit different is up here, which is fine because it needs to be a bit different. Okay, now just taking some water, and I just want to reduce the intensity of this yellow. It's too intense. So just adding water to it really good. It's cadmium yellow light, but it's just unruly because it was very wet, so it didn't. The tube was not well preserved. I should have put that before I came, and then I would have used a different tube. Okay, so looks about right over here. Now I need to say this side. So I'm just gonna pick up some fuzzy eyes as well. And I need to come down to about here. And all of that intense look will actually fade once these colors dry. They won't look like this. So right now it looks very, very strong, right? This yellow is really heavy. It's not going to end up looking like that. It'll fade back, especially if I do this. So I need to bring. Somebody's bored and going home. You okay? No? Sorry. And I'm just gonna bring a bit more of that forward. I know this looks opaque, it isn't. It will fade in, especially when I pick up other colors. Makes it a little better. I need some light here. There isn't enough light on this side. So just gonna mix it up. And let's go back and really darken this area.
A commercial brush similar to the one you used.
Yeah, if there was, I wouldn't make it. Honestly, no, honestly, I don't think anybody's making anything like this. I mean, it's close to what the Chinese brushes look like, but they don't feel the same. This is much stiffer.
Yeah.
than the Chinese brushes, but they look almost the same. How is that looking? Yeah?
I like that blue shadow.
In here? Yeah.
Was that
Sure.
ultramarine blue you're using?
Yeah, with a bit of green. Like, there's always a touch of green in everything.
A touch of what?
Green, yellow, green, in all of these things. So, just using a bit of dry brush here because this is too uniform. Need to break it up a bit. Nature is never neat. Okay, now I need to actually walk away from it a bit and take a look. I'm curious if you can look and see what it's like. Any suggestions? Hey guys, why didn't you tell me that this angle is not right? Huh?
Following you.
That's not right. You can't sit there and not help. This angle here is wrong.
Yeah.
Come on, do your part.
I like it like that. It's yours.
Huh? But it's not the right line, so it's coming. I don't know if I can actually lift it. No. You know what? Since you messed it up for me,
Just move the line on the house.
I'm just gonna,
Yeah, just,
here, this is all your fault, you know. I'll let it bleed a bit, give me a shadow for these lights as well. Okay, that looks better. Yeah, you can't just sit there. You have to participate. Somebody say they were just supposed to be here without participating?
It was fascinating.
So I'm feeding this and preparing to do another run in here.
The water's perfect, don't spoil that.
Oh, I'm going to spoil. Never fall in love with a passage until the end. Don't let it be that way. It's not. This has got to be dark down here. I need that to look much darker because there's a hug to this picture that I need to see. So I can't fall in love with the passage yet, right until the end. There's a bit of light, that's okay because this area is quite a bit, so we can do that.
You don't use that brush?
Oh, no,
The brush?
I don't.
That brush.
I don't use flat brushes, but that's just me.
How many years have you been using these brushes of your own design?
Oh, not that many years, about 4, maybe 4 years. Too much? No? We're okay? All of this is a stage. Okay, all of this is a stage. Once you put the figures in, your eyes will go there. Because again, this is, right now, if you look like this and turn back, you'll remember this.
Yeah.
This is what burns into your eye. Because it's the darkest dark, the lightest light in the picture. So that was what burns. And then if we put the figures in here, we give them a bit of color for the clothing.
Windows and doors and then.
I will. It's just, I tend to, I'll show you what my windows and doors are. And you're gonna laugh. You're already laughing. I think you're laughing at me, not with me. That's okay. So, windows, doors, you really want to keep them very, like everybody wants to do the square, dark square, and another dark square next to it. Don't do that. Just here's a window. That's it. Okay? Do you see it? Do I need to do more? Maybe do this, the bottom here. But that's about it, really. I really don't need to do more than that. And I'll do another one here. Make it a doorway. But if I make it strong, if I make it heavy, it'll become an attraction. It'll become something that I have to look at. It's not important. So why would I make it big? Why would I make it more detailed than this?
Yeah.
It's a suggestion. That's all. Right? So keep your windows simple. That's one of the things that I also see is very black windows. It's like you can see the inside and it's dark. I understand. I mean, if you look at this photograph, they are the darkest things. But then if I paint them that way, that's what you look at, and it'll end up looking like a face, right, with two eyes, windows. And if you're looking at it from a distance, that's what you'll see. Is, why is that face smiling? Oh, it's Alice. Okay. Oh, I do have something to say. Because when I get to do, this is very nice. Is there a smaller one? Yeah. When I get to do the figures, I really need to do this. So. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So since I'm doing the figures on a dark background, I don't need to use color to begin with. I just need to use water so I can lift them out. Just want to make sure that I have them in the right placement. This guy to be right here. And everybody see my mouse? The mouse? Yes.
Oh, no, never mind.
Come on, Sam, where'd you put it? Right here. Okay. And this is where this setup really becomes very useful, because I can do this. And I can actually even do this. And help you really zoom in so you can see what I'm working on back there. Right? It's like you being standing on my shoulders behind me.
You just washed it out.
Yeah, I'm just washing him out. I'll put some color in a bit, but first I want to wash him out so that I can actually see him and then see the kid in front.
Are you using the white sometimes to,
Yeah, I'll use some white to highlight the shoulders, but not now, not yet. So all I'm doing is really just lifting a bit.
Do you use watercolor white or wash?
Watercolor.
what
I'll
is
show you
that?
what I'm using.
Is it a brush that you have in your thing? Oh, she's, yeah.
It's just a regular brush. No magic. Sorry? This is the idea?
It's okay.
Look at them.
It's like a ghost coming out of the dark, standing like this. Okay. Just gonna use a different brush this time.
Yeah, like that little kids. But that means it's law. I like that. It bothers me. It's really a lot.
I see what you're saying.
My eyes were right.
To what?
That blob on the side, that's where my eyes are going.
Which bar?
It's on the
The back, the
side of
This
back,
thing?
yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I was looking at it going, I have to do something about this.
Otherwise, I'll be a focal point.
Yes, it's very dark against a very light area, right? So let's fix that right now so that we can actually enjoy working on the figures. Is that good?
Yeah,
It's
that's
good?
much better.
It's gone?
Yes.
Okay. Can everybody hear the? Okay. Sorry?
The blob on the side is washed.
I just washed the blood on
There's
the
no
side.
dog?
There's no dog?
The dog should be in the
Because
water.
we have a bunch of dogs in the air.
They could have been.
So I'm using a bit of orange here for the face. And again, I'm adding and lifting, because I don't want it to be over. I don't want the figure to look like he's stuck on, right? Neither of these guys. I don't want them to be stuck on, like that. Okay, and then let's give the kid a nice red t-shirt. He's so proud he's going fishing with Dad. And the jeans. What color should we do? Sorry?
Father.
The father what? Wear blue? Okay.
Who has blue?
And just, I want to make sure the kid is wearing shorts, so I'm just going to give him legs here, like that. Okay. Is that good enough? Just want to make sure that his head is not. Okay. And now we need to work on the dad. So the dad may be wearing, let's give him a turquoise t-shirt. Like this. And some blue jeans. So you can see the colors are a bit heavy here, but we need them to be so that we can actually run them in place like this. I always want to sort of fade out legs. You don't need to see each part of this. So the only thing that's missing right now is the chaperone. And I'm just going to have to wait until this actually dries a bit more. If I had a hair dryer, I would use it now. By the way, as much as you can, forget about using hair dryers. Okay? And I'm sure you notice that when you paint and you use hair dryers, it looks dull, right? Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is the paper, the cotton paper, is actually fibers that look like spaghetti that has been really pressed down. Right? So they're all like that. And so when we let the colors settle on their own and dry, a lot of them stay on top and dry on top, so the top layer is completely covered. When we try to use the hairdryer, because the paper gets warmer on where there's no water, it sucks all the water down and sucks it in. So what you end up looking and seeing is a lot of that color is gone down into the fibers, and the top layer that is supposed to be covered is covered but not enough, so you get that feeling of flecks of light or white coming through. So you try as much as possible not to use that. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is I'll pick up some fine black brown and just get a bit of a just a bit like that, so they're not both bald. Okay, now somebody asked what do I use for white. I recently got this. I haven't used it yet, but I'm sure you guys know what this is, right? You've seen this before?
Yeah.
Have you used it before? Is it good? Is it really good? Opaque enough?
It's like liquid acrylic, right?
It's it's actually watercolor, fine art watercolor.
Yeah.
See it? It's not acrylic. So I just want to make sure that when you do get these, there are some that are acrylic. Don't get the acrylic, get the watercolor. Well, might as well. I mean, and I also have this gouache tube of white, but it's dried. So we'll try.
You can use it again.
Huh?
If you make it wet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know I can. I want to try this because I haven't used it before. So I want to see what it's.
It's got a little spring. Mine has a little spring.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we're talking about two different things. I just want to make sure that this actually covers well. It looks all right. We'll see. We'll see. If it doesn't, I'll go back to the other one. But what I really need to do is I want to bring these guys out of the scene a bit. So I'm going to give them a bit of a highlight, like a halo around them. And that just separates them from the back, separates them from the Anything else we need to do? Anybody?
The dog.
The dog? You really want the dog?
No.
Okay, well, we're going to put a dog in. Just for you. The yellow bushes here are not defined? Is it important for me to define them?
It's springtime.
Right. If you look in spring, it's not really yellow. I mean, that looks very
Forget from that
strange.
distance, yeah.
Oh, so much.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah, totally, yeah.
It is a bit strange.
Okay, yeah.
But,
Sure.
yeah, because they do look a bit yellowish green, right? It's early, so the leaves are very tender. They're still not dark yet. Yeah. Okay, so we're going for the dog now.
She's barking.
I can put those in if I need to. So here's the dog. And really, all you need to do with the dog is the tail. The tail makes the dog. Once you put the tail in it, doesn't that look like a cat? I don't know.
See? It's better. Nice family now.
Oh, because nice families only have dogs?
In the country.
I like that picture with the tongue out.
Okay, last thing. We need that rod. It's only one shot. You can't do it twice.
Picture of people, everybody work.
That's all it is. So we can do a bit of cleaning up here. We're going to. This is still wet, but actually, let me teach you something. Have you ever used sandpaper? No? This? Not on paper? Oh, you use sandpaper, not on paper. But if you take a piece of sandpaper like this, and you don't want to like sand the paper, but what you want to do, especially on the dark side, like you press it in and just run it. Okay? Okay, you can't. And then what you need to do is get your kneaded eraser and let it lift. Like that. But just a bit. I mean, I don't want to overdo it, but I want to show you the technique. Okay. Okay. That's the picture.
The rod really folded it.
Yeah.
It does, eh?
And just that little simple thing.
Well, just you're getting it now. Everything's focused on here, right? You'd like some branches. I mean, look, there's so much that we can do, and I can put windows, or we can put branches. We can do a lot of different things, but then it becomes a painting by committee, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Painting by number is not what you want.
no, I don't want a committee painting. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.